Club. Leeds are on the Berkshire station and Worcester are on the Buckinghamshire station. And joining me in the commentary position, I have David Stanley Collingwood. Not of this parish, he lives somewhere up in Yorkshire now, and I know he's enjoyed watching these pictures. Stanley, we've got Intermediate Club Coxfords here, Leeds from up north and Worcester, and it's Leeds nearest to us, Worcester in the centre of the river.
Well, yes, indeed. It's lovely to actually see some side-by-side rowing. This morning I was watching the time trials this morning, and although it was very pretty and interesting watching the different crews, it really didn't compare to actually watching racing for real. It's lovely to see that Leeds moved into a brand new wonderful boathouse and water sports centre last year, and they're beginning now to push on up the rankings in the north of England. They actually got a crew in the top 200 of the Tideway Ahead for the first time for many years this year, so it's actually good to see them here at Women's Henley. They've also got some good women's crews as well as some good men's crews.
So we can see here, Stan, looking at these images, that it is Leeds that have a lead over Worcester.
So that's Leeds on the far side and Worcester on this side. Worcester, of course, one of those clubs from the provinces that have been around. Years ago when I was rowing, one of the things that we loved doing was going to the bank holiday weekend where there was Worcester, Gloucester and Ross. Worcester, Gloucester and Ross Regatta, which was the August bank holiday silly season. But what we're seeing out there today is very far from silly season rowing.
So it's Leeds, as we look at these images here, Leeds are nearest to us. Worcester are over on the Buckinghamshire station.
Worcester, they're a good solid 36. And one of the things that I'm delighted to see in the 20 odd years of Henley Women's Regatta is how much stronger women's rowers are these days. I mean, this is good, solid, club standard rowing, but it's good, solid, steady rowing here. They're halfway over the course already. And
we look out of our window here and we can see them passing us. We're just about on the halfway mark. The crews are now moving away from us and down towards the finish. Really, really good standard of rowing, as you say, Stan.
And I would describe this as a pocket handkerchief between these two crews. Neither crew actually established a big lead here, well under a length between them. Quite hard to see from this camera angle, but I think there's probably just about a third of a length between these. Worcester just hanging on to a slight lead. Both crews now rating at 36, and both still, I noticed that the Leeds crew got a bit scrappy past the boating area, maybe nervous when their club mates were shouting at them, but they've settled back into it now. And this is all about, I think, the last 200 or 300 metres. Worcester have taken advantage of that past the boating area and have now squeezed out. And I think that looks like, yes, there's just clear water between the crews now. So unless Leeds can find something extraordinary in these last 300 metres, I think maybe the phrase I'm looking for is they may have shot their bolt.
Intermediate Club Coxfords, this for the Leicester Trophy, and we can see here that Leeds have, I think they've broken them. Leeds now are a length behind Worcester.
And that's really the question. I think Leeds just ran out of steam because Worcester are maintaining 35 strokes a minute, but the Leeds crew gone down to 33 strokes a minute. I think they've sensibly decided they'd rather do fewer good strokes than hold the rate at 35s, 36s when that was beyond them in this last sector of the race. And we can see now that those extra couple of strokes a minute that Worcester are doing is increasing their lead almost with every stroke. It's I would say that's 2 lengths now.
Yeah, it's 2.5 lengths as they approach the finish line, 1,500 metres down the track, and we are looking now at another heat of the Intermediate Club Coxfords for the Leicester Trophy. This is Mortlake Anglian and Alpha Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, and Henley Rowing Club on the Buckinghamshire station. Henley Rowing Club, obviously based just the other side of the bridge here, and they just look a tad uncomfortable to me, which is not like Henley. I'll see if I recognise anybody in that Henley crew.
There must be some. They're rating only 31s, Martin, and they already look really, really tired, which is extraordinary because we're at the beginning part of the course.
Well, I'm not certain what's happening there. Henley Rowing Club had a fantastic National Schools Regatta. I think they won something like 8 gold medals and 4 silvers and what have you. However, let's not take it away from their opponents here. MAA, Mortlake Anglian Alpha. It is intermediate club fours. I say National Schools Regatta. I'm assuming that some of those are juniors. They might be a little bit older.
Well, in fact, the interesting thing is by going right down to 31s, they've now found a decent rhythm and are up at 33s, which is where Mortlake Anglian and Alpha are. Mortlake Anglian and Alpha, of course, annual television stars because they're the boathouse and the beach that the boat race crews come ashore at, and where the prize giving is on the Mortlake Anglian lawn every year in the boat race. But of course you don't see the club members then. But there's slightly more strength through the water with that Mortlake Anglian and Alpha crew, and it's paying off because although both these crews are now rating exactly the same at just under 34s, you can see if you look at the two crews, the Henley crew almost slapping at the water on the entry, and they're not quite getting a grip on it, whereas the Mortlake Anglian crew bite, push.
Well, I can tell you this Henley Rowing Club crew, a lot of these girls are just out of university. I've just had a look here, recognised some of the names, and they're a fairly new crew. I wouldn't say that they're beginners, but there's not a massive amount of experience. However, MAA are moving down the course very, very nicely indeed, and they're heading up towards the finish now, and that's Mortlake Anglian Alpha. The next race on the course is the Intermediate Club Coxed Fours. This is Vesta Rowing Club against Upper Thames.
Well, Vesta, of course, one of the clubs down on the waterfront at Putney. Upper Thames, you might say, are rowing home because their club is absolutely next to Remenham Club, which is where the chairman's and finish enclosure is here. Have to say Vesta have a fine tradition of women's rowing, but Upper Thames have also had women's crews almost from when they started, which must be nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Intermediate club fours, there is of course an absolute barrier as to how many status points any athlete in this event can have. So these are going to be people, a bit like the girls you mentioned from Henley, that will perhaps be done some college rowing and want to carry on when they come down from university, or maybe club rowers in their second year or maybe even third year of rower. So these are people in the sort of intermediate range, which is why I suppose they're club or intermediate events. They will nonetheless still have been training probably between 35 and 40 weeks, so they would have started last October. They'd have been training 5-6 times a week, sometimes a little bit more than that, land training and boat training. 2 outings Saturday, 2 outings Sunday, all through the winter. And I think we've got a tight race here, Martin.
We have indeed, yeah. I was just looking out the window, and everybody's looking to their right down the river, and it looks to me as if Upper Thames, they appear to have held it together.
Upper Thames at 37, which is a high rate for a Coxed Four because it's a heavy boat. 36 for Vesta.
But Vesta just look a little bit untidy, particularly on that last half a dozen strokes. I'm not sure whether the girl at bow had a bit of a problem there. However, it's allowed Upper Thames to really smoothly slide through as they pass us here. It is just about a length to Upper Thames.
Yes, I think you're right. I think the bow girl investor just seemed to lose the rhythm, and it just demonstrates you only have to lose that perfection your rhythm for 3 or 4 strokes, and half a length has gone. And then it is so hard when you're rowing uphill, because we go against the stream, what little stream there is here. It's so hard once you've got that just a length, as Alison was saying earlier on, that unless you're really exceptional, you won't get the other length. I think we're on to the next race now.
We are indeed. We are down at the start at the Temple Island St Andrews Rowing Club on the Berkshire Station and Kingston Rowing Club on the Buckinghamshire Station. Heading down the back of the island. That's always a really, really exciting part of the race. The Coxes will be yelling, trying to get the most out of their crews. They'll both be desperate to try and get their nose ahead as they clear the top of the island. Stan, I can see you playing with your rate meter there. They're doing a fair old rate, aren't they, when they hit there?
They always go off at the start well over 40, and then they tend to settle down to racing rates, which in a Cox 4 is more likely to be 35, 36s than the 37, 38s we might see in an 8 or in a Coxless boat. St Andrew, of course, I think lays claim to being the oldest boat club or rowing club in Scotland. They never been a big club, but if you come up against the St Andrew crew, they're always well drilled, rowing well, and can't quite see at the moment from any of our camera shots what the status is of this race.
They have a very famous female member, of course.
You're talking about young Miss Granger, I think.
Well, she's 40 now, yeah, so younger than us.
Indeed, that's not hard.
Mind you, there's a lot of people around here like that. Stanley, Kingston. Good to see a Kingston women's crew out and winning here, by the look of it.
Yes, Kingston at 36. Kingston had a few quiet years, but in the last 2 or 3 years, they've had a big recruitment drive, and they come back, and indeed, they have a lead of from 3/4 of a length. Kingston at 36 and St Andrew Boat Club at 35. I noticed as you look at the St Andrews boat, there was a little wobble as it came forward, and of course every time the boat wobbles that will create cross waves which have the effect of slowing the boat down, and you only need very slight wobble each stroke, and even if it's just 1 centimetre a stroke over 6 minutes worth of rowing or 5 minutes worth of rowing, that's probably half a length.
No slight wobbles here, though, Stanley. Are you well?
Yes, indeed.
Enjoying Henley Women's?
Well,
I think... funny enough, before you came and sat down next to me, it was cloudy. And now the sun is out.
Well, what is it?
You little ray of sunshine.
Is it the sun shining on the righteous or the devil looking after his own?
Oh, here we go. Kingston Rowing Club. Look as if they're maintaining this lead. Good race this, Stan.
Yes, I've been very pleased because time was when Friday afternoon racing at Henley, there was a lot of races that we know in the commentary team as paint dries. In other words, no more exciting than watching paint dry. We haven't had any paint dries as I've seen this afternoon. We've had lots and lots of good races, most of the verdicts under 2 lengths, which I think is a great testament to the improvement in standards.
The improvement in standards, indeed. I mean, and, an international, well and truly established international event now. Henley Women's Regatta gets bigger and bigger every year. We hope you're enjoying the streaming.
Well, Kingston
here.
have had to raise their rate to 38. St Andrew, just at 35s, have really mounted a very big spurt here.
They have.
They're just coming up party, and they're chopping Kingston's lead. They're going back on Kingston with every stroke. And in fact, as they pass us here, I was going to say they're level, but I think St Andrew got their noses in front.
Possibly. I would say that they are... Not quite. Looking as they passed us, Dan, I think St Andrews had a push, but I think Kingston countered it. I'd say that they're pretty much level. Now, the problem Kingston have got here is that they've gone way over to the middle of the river, very, very close to the boys. But this is a very, very good race.
Now, Kingston... have
Red or blue, Stan? Go on.
Well, Kingston are up at 37s, 38. St Andrews only at 36. If St Andrews have got the strength in their legs and can continue taking their rate up, then I think Kingston are near the limit, much nearer the limit. Looking at them, St Andrew look much more contained, much more rhythmic, much more inside themselves.
But they look to me to be rowing shorter in the water. However, it's who's moving quick, isn't it?
37s now, St Andrews.
And it's red. It's the red crew. It's Kingston Rowing Club.
Kingston
by
at
a
36s.
canvas.
I think St Andrew are going to get this. St Andrew getting stronger by the stroke. Kingston looking just a little bit. It looks as though their heads are beginning to go down.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I think Kingston are going to hold them off. Kingston, although they're looking across, this is very, very tight indeed. If you want the results of this and any other races, go to our website, Henley Women's Regatta, hwr.org.uk.
Well, I don't know. I still can't separate those, Martin. They're really very, very close together.
Well, I've got these fantastic £5 glasses I got from the market, and I can tell you, it looks to me as if Kingston have just taken it up, but it's very, very
Kingston
close.
at 39 now. St Andrew at 40.
Yeah, you can see there that the stroke of the St Andrew crew, she's working like an absolute mad person. Gosh, this is close. There we are. Oh, it's St Andrew from that camera angle. It looks like St
from
Andrew.
that camera angle.
And that was the line. Well, go to the website, have a look at the result. We can't call it from here. We are down at the start